Hey there, welcome to Autistic History, the Autism Wars Part 3. We are in the 60s and 70s right now, talking about the very first front in the Autism Wars that I have discovered, which goes back to these three autism researchers that are named Bruno Bettelheim, Bernard Rimland, and Ivar Lovaas. So let's see what that's all about, okay? So some quick background on these guys from Wikipedia I'm going to share, and then we're going to start dishing some of the dirt and what they were saying to each other during this era, and then you'll start seeing some of these patterns we're so used to experiencing today getting established. So Bettelheim, his ideas grew out of those of Sigmund Freud, and theorized that children with behavioral and emotional disorders were not born this way, but could be treated through extended psychoanalytic therapy, and he rejected the treatment that used psychotropic drugs and shock therapy, okay? So, and it says here in the 60s and 70s, he had an international reputation in such fields as autism, child psychiatry, and psychoanalysis. And I have shared more about Bettelheim in the first two videos in this series. And next, I'm going to talk about Rimland. So Rimland was born a long time ago, too, in 1928. He was an American research psychologist, writer, lecturer, and says here, influential person in the field of developmental disorders. Rimland's first book, Infantile Autism, sparked by the birth of a son who had autism, was instrumental in changing attitudes towards the disorder. Rimland founded and directed two advocacy groups, the Autism Society of America, ASA, and the Autism Research Institute, ARI. Now, his bio goes on a bit further, but I'm going to stop it here, right here, in about the 60s and 70s, and now I'm going to talk about Ivar Lovaas. So his whole name, I think, is, me and my pronunciations, but Ivar Lovaas. I just say Ivar Lovaas because I'm not sure how to even pronounce the first part, so my apologies for that. But here's another person born in 1927 and was a Norwegian-American clinical psychologist and professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, or UCLA. He is most well known for his research on what is now called Applied Behavior Analysis, or ABA. And this is to teach autistic children through prompts, modeling, and reinforcement. And the therapy has been noted. Okay, we're just going to stop here because we're going to get to all of that later. But right here, he is a co-founder of the Autism Society of America, and he founded the Lovaas Institute as well. So this is where we're all at right now, these fronts in the 60s and the 70s. So to illustrate, on this side, we have Bruno Bettelheim. And then here we have the verses. On this side, we have Bernard Rimland, Ivar Lovaas, and parent advocate. So this is the first front for these autism wars. Bettelheim versus Rimland, Lovaas, and parent advocates. And at this point, both Bettelheim and Rimland have books that are published about their ideas and autism. And Lovaas has published articles about his behavior system in 1965 as well. These outlined, I'm going to read from this, these outlined his system for coding observed behaviors, described a pioneering investigation in or of the antecedents and consequences that maintained a problem behavior and relied upon the methods of errorless learning that was initially devised by Charles Foster to teach nonverbal children to speak. Lovaas also described how to use social secondary reinforcers to teach children to imitate and what interventions, including electric shocks, may be used to reduce aggression and self-injury. All right, so also in 1965 is when Rimland and Ivar Lovaas founded the Autism Society of America, a parent advocacy organization, and this was to work on behalf of autistic children and their families at local, state, and national levels. So here we go. So, as mentioned, Sigmund Freud influenced Bettelheim's theory that children with behavioral and emotional disorders were not born that way and could be treated with long-term psychoanalytic therapy, and rejected the use of psychotropic treatments or drugs and shock therapy. He also, it's noted, wasn't open to behavioral approaches to autism like those that were being pioneered by Lovaas. So his words, because operant conditioning turns human beings into objects of manipulation in the belief that such is for the patient's own good. Behaviorists utilize physically coercive means to attain beneficial ends. Such ethical violations were for Bettelheim no more acceptable in work with autistic children than they had been in Hitler's Germany and Stalin's Russia. He bluntly equated behaviorists with murderous authoritarians and roundly condemned them all. And Rimland disagreed with this theory and wrote or said in conclusion to was a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. Now, this is Rimland. What he's saying is this is an error of reasoning whereby one infers a cause from a simple correlation of events without providing evidence of a causal relation. Yeah, that was Bernard Rimland. I'm going to say that again. An error. He wrote that their conclusion on the refrigerator mother's theory was a post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. Pronunciation, I have no fucking clue. But what this means is it's an error of reasoning whereby one infers a cause from a simple correlation of events without providing evidence of a causal relation, and that is Bernard Rimland saying that. And I'm going to just sit with this for a moment. Anyhow, Rimland suggested that alternative biological mechanisms could cause autism, citing evidence from studies of the reticular formation of the brain. So Rimland did a lot to change and break the stigma of refrigerator mother's theory. His book helped him connect with parents out there in the world and America, and he began networking with them and listening to them and building this base of families that work together in their goals. And it looks like this is the start of the autism community that we see today.